It's now the Andy Gresh portion of the Patriots wrap. And Andy, you said they were going to score some points. I was a little bit worried there at halftime, but man, they really laid it on him there in the second half.
Well,
that was
did.
unbelievable.
And look, the first half score was not indicative of the way the game was played. I think we can all kind of figure that out. You know, the turnovers gave the Bills a short field, and then they end up a couple plays, a couple safeties out of position. Next thing you know, it's 14-7. We had a caller on the postgame show on the radio say, how come they weren't aggressive at the end of the half? They had a timeout and the ball's on the 4-yard line, and their field goal kicker missed 2 kicks in the first half. At most, you're going to be able to kick a field goal. If you turn it over, you're in Bills territory again. So field position, a gigantic factor in the first half of that game. Then it was just a smoke show after that.
Yeah, in a lot of places to kind of to point at and to look at and try to break down. Let's start out with the running game. 2 100-yard backs, and all of a sudden Bolden is on the scene. Is this indicative of what we should expect to see from them all season long?
Well, Eric, what they got back to was having success in the 2 tight end set. You saw Daniel Fells in there today, and I think Gronk is working through something. They said it was the hip. I don't know. It seems like there's something more there. However, he and Fells were great complements in the run game, and even out of 3 wide receivers, they would move him in motion. He would end up hitting somebody, and they were hitting some runs. The most impressive thing about the run game, and why I think it's not going away, is it is one of the rare up-tempo run games. It started to roll with Bolden on that one drive, and they just kept going to it. Tom Brady has subjugated his ego for the betterment of the team. And look, how were they able to cap it off? They know they can run block. They ran the ball inside the 10-yard line. They ran the ball goal to go to score touchdowns. Even Brady ran one in. So the quarterback is on board. As much as everyone's used to him closing it out and this offense closing it out, they've got different ways to do it now, and they got the 2 tight ends set back. It's a little different than Aaron Hernandez, but still effective, especially in the run game.
Yeah, another thing that has kind of developed over the last couple weeks is Wes Welker is back. 2 pretty big games for him. We kind of expected this with the Aaron Hernandez injury, but do you expect him to be part of it from here on out?
Yeah, I think Fells will be a part of it. Now, look, when Hernandez comes back, they go back to the old way of doing things, putting people in peril, and then picking whether they want to choose or whether they want to run. But they know now, Eric, that they can count on Daniel Fells when they go to a 3 tight end set with O in there. If Hernandez comes back, you can put him out wide. You can put 2 tights in the game, put Brandon Lloyd on the other side. Then it becomes, what in the world do you do? It's a big toy box for Josh McDaniels. He's got a lot to play with, mix and match, making it work. But I think for the time being, while Hernandez is out, Fells is going to be a big part of the game plan. And the other thing, too, is it's good to know that Fells can chip in even on pass plays because you got the ability to rest Gronk. You can give Hernandez a blow when you need to. Now you got the other guy they've been looking for. Now we know why Josh was so hot to trot for the Patriots to sign him and give him what I think was either 2 or 3 year deal.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these weapons out there, but the old standby in Wes Welker, he's back. 2 pretty big games for him.
Well, when they go to the 2 tight end set, Wes Welker's now on the field where Julian Edelman was. So you're getting certain matchups. In that set with 2 tights on the field, not a ton of production. When they went to 3 wide and they forced them into nickel, that's where I matched up against Justin Rogers, who's a CAA kid out of Richmond. He's a 7th-round pick, and they never got him away from him. It seemed like that if they were in a passing set, it was a passing down. If Rogers was on Welker, that's where they were going. You go back to the days of Brown University when Mark Whipple was here. He would find a guy and just pick on him. And you know what? Brady and Welker have the kind of kismet and personalities to where they find a guy to pick on, they're going to be the bully in the schoolyard, and they were today.
Yeah, and defensively, really quickly, did you like some things that you saw there?
Oh, God,
Devin McCourty kind of came back, a little redemption for him.
Well, I mean, for the idiots who were all over Devin McCourty, who didn't decide to flip on tape and actually watch it the way I did, you could tell that McCourty was close. And look, take the Mayo play, just real quick. He's doing everything he can to have tight coverage on Fred Jackson on that play down the sidelines. They make that play. If he turns to try to knock it away and lose his body position, that's a touchdown. There's a lot that goes into covering people that folk, just turn your head around. It's nice and easy. No, it isn't. You got to be in position to make the play and know you're not going to give up the body position on the player. You know, if there's not a safety behind you, you're not going to try to reach and swipe a ball and miss, and the next thing you know, the guy's off for a touchdown. There's a lot that goes into playing DB. I think Devin McCourty has got a pretty good handle on it. If people just get it out of their head that he's not Ty Law, the guy will get cut a fair break around here.
All right, still much more to talk about. We'll be right back after the break. Much more with Andy Gresh still to come on the Pats Wrap. More now with Andy Gresh, and let's start to look ahead a little bit now. Before we get to next week's matchup, let's just talk about, does today's game kind of make you feel a little bit better about things going forward? You know, should we take it and say they're ready to go now, you know, the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. I don't go nuts over a lot of that stuff because they're close in Arizona. They had some things work against them in Baltimore, including the officials, so I don't go crazy over stuff like that. They're 2-2. The record's not bad. They're in good shape, and they're going to play a Denver team who hung a bunch of points on Oakland. But I do think the identity is starting to evolve on both sides of the ball. And while the safeties were the ones who clearly had the issues today in the secondary, safety play was not good. Both of Chandler's touchdowns were the result of bad safety play. They're not that far off. Jermaine Cunningham's getting to the quarterback. Jones is getting to the quarterback. They're active up front. Love and Vince were much better not only against the run, but knocking down passes today. Teams off, I mean, the game is geared for offense. No longer are you going to have just 240 yards a game given up on defense. You're now a good defense if you're giving up probably 325, between 325 and 350. You're more than respectable, if not good, nowadays in the NFL. So I think our adjustments, it can't be 80s, 90s football. It's got to be, let's evaluate what's going on today. And for today, I think they're a top 8 defense. They're probably at the bottom of that 8, but they're a top 8 defense, and they got a chance to get a little bit better.
And a really good test coming up in Peyton Manning. He's back. Do we have some of the old rivalry of the
No.
Manning versus Brady? Is that back at all?
No, I don't think that's back because this version of Peyton Manning is still evolving with his team, a little bit like the Patriots defense. You've got a guy who's trying to get people to play at his speed mentally, and it's not so much the physical part of it. It's does Peyton have to slow down because the people around him can't handle it. Now, the biggest thing the Patriots are going to have to deal with against Denver, a lot of big people. Demaryius Thomas, big receiver. Eric Decker, big receiver. Jacob Tamme, big tight end. We're talking guys who are like 6'2" and taller. They're loads to be able to deal with. You need a Razai Dowling. You need Devin McCourty. You need somebody in the secondary to stand up. It'll be interesting to see the whole Tavon Wilson, Jacob Tamme, or whomever at tight end matchup. Again, they're bigger guys. Are they going to be able to be physical and be able to cover? Or are the Patriots going to have to take a bit of a dink and dunk approach? Let's put everything in front of you, force Manning into checkdowns, stop him in the red zone. Might give up 400 yards, but if they only give up 17 points, at the end of the day, it's the score that matters, not the yards. So a little further film study. I'll be able to have a little more on Wednesday on it. But my inkling right now is let Peyton Manning throw it short, give up the yards, hunker down in the red zone versus run the risk of him making big plays with big receivers.
You got to think it's probably a little bit harder, though, than preparing for maybe Tim Tebow. I mean, I know you're a big Tebow fan.
Oh, my God.
You're a big Tebow fan, so last year you knew that was going to be tough for them. I would think preparing
Now you're preparing for a quarterback, not a guy who masquerades as one, or that they might try to shove into the spot. That'd be great for the Jets, who lost today, by the way, right? I got a quarterback who can't execute. So my option is to put a quarterback who is worse at executing than my starter. Whew, boy, that's a Jets, Jets.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because the very next segment, right after you walk out the door, we're gonna have Rex Ryan, and he swears, and he's not a happy man these days.
He shouldn't be. He should be ticked off.
Yeah, so we'll hear from him, and we'll catch up with you later this week. We can look at some tape. We can talk some Broncos.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting. By the way, the Broncos have a good defense. They're gonna bring it from that end as well. So, anytime Peyton Manning walks through the door, you're automatically on alert. Or right, Eli, not Cooper, though.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A big weekend here for us in New England. He is Andy Gresh. We'll take you around the NFL when we come back. More Patriots Wrap after the break.